I'm not convinced I know how to read. I've just memorized a lot of words.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
True. All life ends in death, which we, as a species, are cursed with knowing, resulting in something. Again, this is really not my field.
It's the Al Travis Show, and we've got our guest, Senator Karin Housley, part 2. Thanks for being here. That's French, by fair. Kind of clean it up a little. Press everybody. Before we get into the big stuff, I want to know, because I know you're a big Viking fan, and not that I would even suggest that you possibly gamble, but I do know that you have, what do you call it, fantasy teams with other people, right? I mean, you play this game. You're that into it.
Yeah, I'm in 2 fantasy leagues. One's with a bunch of political people, women, Gridiron Ladies we're called. They actually featured us on CBS This Morning a few years ago. Yeah. Right. And then the other one, we did our draft the other night. It's our family.
Okay.
And goes all the way down to the 9 and 7-year-old boys that are in the fantasy league. And this year we actually Zoomed while we did our ESPN fantasy draft. And it was so funny watching the little boys, how serious they were. And then after they drafted, and then they were like, bam, gotcha. Yeah, I took your guy.
Take
yeah,
that.
it was fun. Yeah.
Well, because I know you're into it, so I'm going to get your opinion. I know you're a Viking fan.
Yep.
This weekend was interesting. I've been rooting for Max Brosmer, the Gopher guy. He was 4th on the chart because he played really well. He wants it hard. He hasn't got the numbers for a quarterback in the NFL, not the height, the size, the hands, but I love his heart. So he's playing really well in the offseason. I'm like, can he replace the Rippin kid? And I'm like, come on, I'm rooting for him. Well, what a weekend. They get rid of the second guy, bring Carson Wentz in here, dump the Rippin kid, make Max number 3. So we got, McCarthy, Wentz, and Brosmer. How exciting is that? Do you like that? I personally think it's fantastic.
For the Vikings, I think, and it gets people like you and me and every other Gopher fan and cheering and watching and not hoping our first 2 go down in the first.
No,
but
you got Max Brosman with a professional contract. He's going to sign a contract and play NFL football. I'm so happy for him.
I am so happy for him too. How exciting for he and his family, and for all of us who hopefully can see him play sometime.
Yeah. Now, this is where you fantasy people ruin the game, in my opinion. I tried doing the fantasy football thing, but I would just pick Vikings, whoever's left, because I just want to root for my team. It's who I am. But you get like a Harrison Smith. Just back to, he wants to play or wants to finish his career here. And this Minnesota Vikings team said, yeah. And they kept him. I'm really happy. I doubt anybody's getting him on their fantasy team. He's losing some tread. But here's what I want to get for you. So, Addison is out for 3 games with his suspension. The Naylor kid evidently has got a hand problem. There is talk we're talking to the Carolina Panthers about bringing Adam Thielen back, Mankato boy. And now look at you roll your eyes. Wouldn't that be just meat on the Minnesota bone right there? Like, bring him back.
I was going to bring up Thielen Meats too. It's my favorite meat store on my way to the lake. And I think Adam Thielen is related to them somehow because he's that whole Thielen family. But yeah, wouldn't that be great to bring him back? Oh my gosh, everybody loved watching him play. That would be,
and again, he probably doesn't have as much tread on the tires as he used to, but he knows how to catch the ball. We know you can throw it to him and he'll make the grab. I just think it'd be great for us, and I think it's good for everybody.
I'm sure he wants to come back too. And what my husband always says is you give your hometown team a discount. So you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm sure he has a house here. Maybe his kids are still here in school because you don't want to keep them around. You do the hometown discount and you'll take half of your salary. Just get me back home.
Well, I let's hope. Anyway, that's the latest news. We'll find out as we go this week. Real news to chat with you about. I presume you've discussed this over. You know all the answers, so let me throw it at you. Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus hires the Upper Midwest Law Center to go after the 2024 omnibus. I mean, this thing was massive, this bill, which at the time, all 3 chairs of the stool were Democrats, and they got everything they wanted, including this double trigger, bi-trigger lateral thing. I don't care. But they don't like it. So they get this Upper Midwest Law Center. They go to court, and this judge says, You know what? I read the Constitution. It says one bill, one subject. It better be in the header what it's about. This doesn't fly. And he pulled it out and said they can't have it. How big is that for you guys in your line of work that omnibus bills, maybe not, could be going away?
It is huge. That was a win for the gun owners, but for the omnibus bills, that night, May 19th, 2024, was the worst day in my history at the state Senate because they threw together that tax bill, put everything, including the kitchen sink, into it and brought it to the floor at 10 minutes to midnight. And with, 1,200 pages that we haven't even seen, and they just threw stuff in there. And that's how, the sausage gets made, but it's completely wrong. Our leader, Mark Johnson, sent a letter to Governor Walz and asked him to veto that bill because we still hadn't read what was in it. It was July and we're still finding out what was in it. It was completely wrong. That's not how legislation should get done. And it should be single subject, but somewhere over the last 20 years, they just started lumping this stuff together to get more stuff done in a quicker amount of time. And it's not how it should be done because you don't even have time to read it.
Is that the job, to get as much stuff done as possible? I guess I've had a senator on saying we have to go year round if we're going to do it one bill at a time. And I'm like, why? Isn't it then you prioritize the transportation? You're going to have 5 bills you can get through this year. Anything that doesn't carry its own water, can't get passed easily, we get rid of. Maybe it's a less is more. Take the ones you want and make it happen.
I'm in the less is more camp. Some legislatures operate 2 months every other year. That's it. We don't have to keep changing the law every single year. And what the Democrats have done the last couple of years is changing it drastically, especially in that tax bill. Less is definitely more. You don't need a bunch of legislators telling you people how to live on the streets for free. I think definitely, absolutely, less is more. We don't need to be doing all this, and only bring the important stuff. When it comes to the beginning of January, or whenever session starts, just bring the important stuff. Work on it off session with all the stakeholders, and just bring something that's good and solid that everybody can agree upon, and bring that.
See, you throw out the homeless thing. The Minnesota Housing Stability Act went through Medicare. That's the first thing we found. Was that guys making $70 an hour saying they're talking to a homeless person for up to 150 hours are making 10 grand a person. And the U.S. attorney says he thinks almost 100% of it is fraudulent. The last thing we heard, and I don't think you and I talked about, was they're also supplying home checks for dead people. They die, they're still getting checks sent to them. And Kara Levin, I think it was, found this one gal. Here's her name. She's been dead for 3 months getting checks. And you think, okay, maybe it's a one-off. Put an 8 when she died instead of the 6. I don't know, but they found 3 others in a heartbeat, and this is Kara Levin. How much digging can they do? So this is rampant. But this is back to my point on what we're talking about. If we had one bill at a time, and the bill came up that said we want to help homeless people, we want to put $2 million towards homeless people, the guys on the right, you guys could sit there and say, so you don't have to have any degree in this, it's just Al Travis can go and talk? Well, that's our plan. Well, how long could he talk to him? 150 hours? And some Republicans say, how would you talk to someone for 150 hours on one subject? It's not that complicated. There are 4 programs. Go to your church. Whatever, Yeah, but we don't care. And then I think a Republican could come up and say, and if they don't get housing, is there some you could have asked them and we never would have had that bill. I honestly believe you never passed that thing the way it was, because for 4 years now, and we're at $104 million. As far as we can tell, no one's actually got housed.
Well, and this is how they do it when in the omnibus bills. You will have a bill that the Democrats really, really want, and they'll put it into an omnibus bill. We hate the provision, but there are 15 really good things in there. So they know if they stick their poison pill into the omnibus bill, if we dare vote against that, there's going to be postcards going to everybody's mailbox. Karin Housley hates kids. She voted against education in Stillwater School District. So that's how they do it. So the omnibus bill works for elections. And I'm not just saying the Democrats do it, because the Republicans this is across the board, that this is how it, like, let's stick it in there. And then if they dare vote again, let's watch Judy Seeberger try and vote against that. Like, that's the conversation happening.
It's so crazy. But let me ask you this, because of this, the judge pulling that one out of the omnibus bill. He basically said, and I think everybody should take a look at whatever's in there and find out if they can pull it out too. So, I mean, this is going to get attacked. But the governor, and this is what I wanted, the governor and the attorney general, Ellison, are saying maybe they're going to appeal this. And that makes no sense to me. And I'm going to ask you your opinion. Right now, you've got a 1,400-page bill, and this one thing is now gone. They get 90% of what they want. It hasn't been decided whether they're doing it wrong or not. If they appeal this bad boy, and it goes up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court reads, here's the law, laws to embrace only one subject. No law shall embrace more than one subject, which shall be expressed in its title. That's the entire law, all of it in there. And the Supreme Court says, you know what? You guys have been mucking around too long. Get rid of it. Why would they risk that? I don't understand why the governor, the attorney general would want to risk blowing that thing sky high out of the water. Right,
because if they did, the world as we know it in the Minnesota legislature would completely change, turn on its head. I don't know why they would risk it. I think it's all talk, but you never know with this administration and crazy things that they do. I wouldn't put it past him, especially Ellison, to just, puff his chest, and it's gonna all be about Trump, of course, even though it's something completely different. But I wouldn't put it past him, but I think it would be a dumb move. And wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be interesting in the 2026? We all just can have single subject bills, which legislators have been fighting for years for, and we all just have to comes to May 19th and we go throw in the towel. We got to vote for something. Yeah.
I got to go to break. When we come back, I do want to ask you about the governor. I'm under the impression by September 1st, he's saying he's going to announce. We did have, and Kristen Robbins announced on the Republican side. We'll talk about that real quick, and then I want to talk about safety. And I think my buddy Phil and I are going to go to the Capitol, and we're going to work on the safety of that Capitol, because evidently it takes some common sense, and there's none of it up there. All that coming up after this.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Dust from gravel roads and driveways does more than make your car dirty inside and out. It gets down into your lungs, and it's bad for your health. Now there's an environmentally friendly solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control all your summer dust problems with just one application. Protect your vehicle and your lungs. Learn more at dustlock.com.
don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
Love having Senator Karin Housley on the program. Senator, the governor is supposed to announce here after the fair whether he wants in or not. Seems really, really late to me, but he can make up his mind. My question to you is, Representative Kristen Robbins got in the game here last week. A lady smart, I'd say not quite mega right. I mean, probably more center to the right. I mean, she's not quite that far over, does well in the suburbs. Good for the group to have her in that mix?
Oh, absolutely. And I am 100% in Kristen Robbins' camp. We were talking about the fair earlier, and then I heard your ad between our segments here for the Center of the American Experiment. If you go to the fair, make sure you go to it's Dan Patch Park, and the Center of the American Experiment has a whole big display on there about Walls's failure in teaching our kids. Like 54% of Stillwater School District third graders can read at grade level, which means 46% can't. So which got Phil all engaged looking at all the different districts. But that failure alone in the Walls administration. But then Kristen Robbins started that Waste, Fraud, and Abuse Committee. You can also go to the American Experiment site and look at their fraud, waste, and abuse tracker. There's almost at $1 billion of fraud and waste in the state. Like, Governor Walz just needs to step aside and let somebody lead who is actually going to protect our pocketbook. And I think Kristen Robbins would be an amazing choice.
I brought this up last week. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But the checkers and chess game, Republicans playing checkers. We're putting people on the field. We're jumping over and doing our thing. But rumor has it the Democrats may be doing a massive chess play. Here's what I heard. Walz says he's out. He's talked to Klobuchar. Klobuchar gets in. Who's going to beat Aunt Amy, right? Everybody loves Aunt Amy. She gets the governorship, and she guarantees to appoint Walz to take her Senate job for the remainder of that seat. Now, they both, if they want to run for president, have governor and Senate behind them. They set each other up. Could that even possibly happen? I think Amy would lose the, "oh, shucks, I'm your Aunt Amy" card once she did the political shuffle like that. It's rumor. I don't know. I can't tell it's going to happen.
Oh, so Amy Klobuchar came into my district the other day, and I was like, oh, that's just unlike Amy in her downtime to like be touring around different cities. Huh, maybe she really is going to do the governor thing, and she's working this deal with Walz. So I shopped it with the people at the shops she shopped at that day. She would absolutely lose the good old Amy if she appointed Walz. And then we took it a step further, and wouldn't it be amazing? Because I don't think they've had a great relationship over the years, Walz and Klobuchar. If she agrees to the deal, and remember, she's still Amy Klobuchar, and there is the other side of Amy. If she did the switch, and she was like,
I'm governor. I do what I want.
Yeah, I'm not appointing you. Big Flanagan is bye-bye.
Oh, that. Okay. So there's lots to go with all that. We'll keep an eye on that. The other thing I got to believe, your husband and myself, because I consider you a friend of mine. A lot of folks from this program I do. I'm so mad at the security folks at the Capitol who now had a meeting. They hadn't had the 4 meetings they're supposed to every year, but they had one and decided maybe we should put metal detectors at the Capitol. That'll help. Senator, it had nothing to do with what we're talking about. The Hoffman-Hortman deal was tragic, but it wasn't at the Capitol. The naked guy at the Capitol didn't have a gun. He had a doorstop to break in. They couldn't even fix the problem that we have. I think your husband, my buddy Phil, we go up there and we're going to make a plan, because I think we'll make a better plan than what they got. I can stop the doorstop.
Well, I know Senator Pappas and I did the bonding bill last year, and Capitol Security has been asking for decades for more money for Capitol Security. And I think number one on the list is they need more cameras everywhere. There is a lack of cameras there, and I shouldn't say that, but I'm hoping that
we get them back.
As I think, I mean, if you just like every other business, you have, all your cameras all over the place and somebody's just watching all the screens. That guy sitting naked in our Senate chamber, somebody would have noticed that if they were watching. So I think start there. and maybe check the doors if they're closed every night with maybe a little sensor to like in the
That'd
house.
be easy. I'm going to tell you this. If we looked into this, if somebody actually wanted to, I don't get the feeling that was the guy's first trip into the Capitol at night. Well, he's made it so easy. He made himself at home in the ladies' room, washed up, took a shower, stripped down. I mean, it didn't sound like this guy was like nervous in the least that anybody was going to catch him. I think he's been living there for a while, like the whole museum thing, that whatever show that was. I'm out of time. Love having you on, Senator. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you for taking care of me today.
See you next week.
It's Senator Karin Housley on the Al Travis Show.